Okay, hi guys. I'm going to show you one other one. I'm going to show you how to make an elephant. Now, all of these are going to be tricky for their own reasons, but this one is going to be pretty tricky. So you have to be up for a challenge for this guy. Part of it will be easy because just like, I don't know if anyone remembers masks that we did probably 5 or 6 years ago. Most of you won't. But we did African masks, and this person did this one, all right? So you can do a trunk, you can use your trunk just like this, and all this is a paper towel roll. So you can take a paper towel roll, all that person did was fold it at the bottom, so it went like this, okay? And you'd have to tape it into place, or find a way to attach it right here so that it stays in that spot. So you would just take it right like that. You can stick it onto your head. So one way to do that, and one thing you're gonna have to do on a lot of these things, or on all of them, is you're gonna make little tabs, okay? So if I'm sticking this onto here, either I'd have to flatten it and tape it, or I would make these little tabs. So I'm going to make little cuts. Is that enough? All right. So on this one, I would probably tape to make it keep that shape right here. I'd probably just tape the very bottom of it right there, because I don't want the tape to be showing up here, but I would tape this bottom part to hold it in that shape before I paper mache. Okay, so now you see the trunk that goes down and comes back up. All right, let's see, let's have them go this way. And then I've got these little tabs so that when I put this on here, I can open up these tabs, just like that. And I can stick it on there like this. Now see how the tabs are stuck on there? All right, so I'm gonna stick it on like that. Now, I said this in another video, but if you want to make these ready for you to go, just get some tape, stick it on the end of the table or wherever you're working, so that you can just grab them and go, because it's a lot harder to do this while you're doing your project. All right, so what I would do, find that spot again where you want it, hold it there, or you might need someone to help you hold it. On a lot of these things, you're going to have somebody help you. And you're just going to tape it on. Tape this on really, really well. Really tight. Use lots of tape. Okay, so I would actually use a lot more than this. Okay, so then you've got your trunk. Now I know that it looks kind of funny because it looks like it's even thicker here than it is up here. This is where newspaper comes in. Anytime the shape is close but not totally what you want, you can use newspaper. Rip it just like you did for the strips. I'm going to use a couple pieces together so that it's thick, or there's 3 pieces together. And I'm just going to kind of wrinkle them up and twist them, kind of like we did for whoever did the vines. Okay, and you're just going to make whatever part that needs to be thicker, just make that part thicker. So I'll start with taping it on right here. Oops, my tape just folded on me. So I'm going to tape it on there so that it's already stuck, and I'm just going to start wrapping it around. So I'm basically just making this part thicker. Alright. See, I should have had lots of tape ready, huh? Okay, so I'm going to make that part thicker. Let me get some tape ready for me. Okay, but it still looks like it's just thick right here, and then it goes down. So you're just going to keep adding until you like the way it looks. I can't be there with you to show you, so you just figure out how it looks best. So I'll take another piece of tape, stick it onto the trunk. I'm going to do it a little bit lower on the trunk, and I'm going to spiral it down so that it starts evening out and not just being one big bunch. Okay, so it still needs some work, but do you see how it's starting to go thicker down to thin? You see that? And when you get it to where you like it, you're just going to take tape and just tape it all up, and use as much tape as you can use to tape it all up, because you want it to be nice and tight before you start paper macheing. The tape will help it keep its shape, because paper is only paper, and when it gets soggy, it'll just get wet. I mean, it'll get squishy and kind of go flat or whatever, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so I would tape it even more than that, but that's getting a start. Do you see how that was working? And then the other things on an elephant are mostly the ears and then the tusks. Now the tusks are going to be difficult. I'll show you how to make them, but they may not curve the way that they curve on here. We're just gonna have to do what we can with what we have. If you guys have another idea of how to make them work, then go and do that. But I'll show you what I can show you with tusks. So you do this. The next thing is to get, you guys can use like a cereal box or whatever, just cardboard from crackers, from anything you guys can find in your house. Just find some cardboard. You're going to cut out the shape of the ear. You can use this side and draw the shape of the ear that you're going to cut out. I don't have one that's, my balloon is bigger than a lot of yours. I don't know if anybody else did a balloon that's as big as mine. So I'd have to find, I've got a lot of pieces that I already just had sitting around. So I'm going to have to find a pretty big ear. Now this is maybe going to be okay. So what I would do with the ear is this. So I'm going to first figure out the shape of the outside of it, because the inside is going to be where it's stuck to the head, and that's kind of hard to figure out right now, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'm going to figure out the shape of the outside. Now look at this general shape. It's kind of like a funny triangle. Okay, it's not a perfect triangle, but it's a funny triangle. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my shape. So this is the part where it's going to stick to the head, and it comes away. At the bottom, it still sticks out a little bit. It doesn't just stick to the head, right? It doesn't just go directly to it like a triangle. It sticks out a little bit. So I'm going to start from the edge, and I'm going to make it stick out a little bit. And I'm going to use as much paper as I can, so I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. And then it's just a wrinkly ear. It goes up to here, and then it just kind of curves, the top curves like this. So you guys figure out the right shape for it. I can't do that for you because I'm not there. Okay, so that's basically the shape of the ear. It's not perfect, and yours doesn't have to be perfect. It's still just a piñata. Okay, but I'm going to take that shape. I'm going to cut it out. And even when I cut it out, it's not going to be, I'm not going to cut exactly on the line, because it's just, especially for an elephant, it's got a really wrinkly ear, so it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it around as I cut. And it's not even on exactly on my lines. You guys can follow your lines, that's fine too. You guys make sure you do whatever works best for you. Okay, so here's my ear. Now you see the problem is that it's flat, and this is not flat, all right? So I'll show you how to deal with that. Now it's gonna be tricky. Any ears you put on here or stuff like that that's flat is gonna be tricky, but I'll show you how to do it, and then you have to just kind of play with it until it works. So first what I'm gonna do, this is the part where it needs to be curved because the balloon is curved. I'm gonna just draw a curve first. I would say that you guys could use the end of like the edge of a circle, but that'll probably be too curved. So you kind of just have to make it up. So I'm going to make the curve first, and I'll cut that out and see how that works. Now you don't want it to be too curvy at first because then you can't go backwards. It's harder to go backwards than it is to keep making a deeper curve. Okay, let's see how well this fits already. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Look at that. Now I know where it's not deep enough right here. So, let's see. It's not deep enough right there, so I can actually maybe make a little bit of a mark right where it's not deep enough. And cut it a little bit deeper just right there. So I'm just gonna make another curve. I'm gonna keep the rest of the curve the same. But this part of the curve, I'm just gonna make it go up just a little bit right where I did that line. And then go back. You see that? So it goes up the most where it goes on that line. And then we'll see if I've got it. Hey, not too bad, you guys, look. I did it. All right, so what you're gonna do from here is you're gonna make little tabs because this is too hard to stick this to the head, and I'll show you what I mean. But before that, actually, go grab another piece. This one's not big enough, but I'll find another piece that's big enough, and trace it out. Let me see if I can find one. You're gonna trace out the same shape on another piece. Okay, so this one's about the same size. You're gonna trace it all out so that you already know exactly what size, because it's gonna be the same on both sides. All right, so you're gonna trace out the ear. Okay, from here, you're gonna make little tabs. So I'm just kind of like anybody who did fringe with me. You just cut in like almost an inch, maybe an inch, and you just keep cutting. Now these are thicker. They're like an inch wide too. See how wide they are? They're not really close together. So you're gonna cut those out. Just cut an inch in. Now this is just for sticking it to the head because it's too hard to stick it directly to the head like this. What you're gonna do is you're gonna fold these back and forth. One goes one way, the next one goes the other way. So like this. So this one goes in like this. I'm folding it that direction. That means the next one folds this direction. So I fold every one. Okay, see that? That way, I can take this and I'm going to stick it on here, and I have something to actually tape down. Do you see that? So I'll stick it on, figure out where it needs to go. Let's see, probably about right there. It actually goes top to the top of the head. This will be tricky, so have somebody come help you. But this way I can tape these tabs down. So I can grab some tape, and I'm going to carefully tape these tabs down onto the head. Now this is a little bit of tape. You're going to need more tape than what I just put on there. Just like everything, you're going to use a lot of tape. I just don't have any tape ready right now. Let's see, I'll do one more piece, and then you would do more tape, always more tape. Now this bottom part, if it wants to come up, the ends of the ear, that's where you have to use extra tape, because see, it wants to keep coming up. So I've got to tape it right onto the head. I'll probably do a longer one, a really long one, so that it tapes all the way down and stays on the head. Okay, do you guys see how it's turning into an elephant? Okay, now baby elephants, some of them it look like don't have their tusks yet, or they're tiny, but this is a tricky part. Oh shoot, you guys, I didn't bring my glue. Let me go grab glue really quick. Okay, tricky part. What you're going to do is you're going to take a paper towel roll. So I already used on my tusk, but I have another one that I already ripped open. So I'll show you, this is, well, you can make a tusk out of this actually. It's a, we'll pretend that this is a baby elephant and it has little baby tusks. So I'm gonna take a toilet paper roll and I'm gonna, do you see how it's spiraled like this? I'm gonna carefully try to open up this spiral. So you can see the spiral on the inside, I don't know if you can tell, see that line? So I'm gonna just pull along that line. I'm gonna open it up like this. Okay, so it's like this. Now it already wants to curl. This is tricky, okay? So don't get too frustrated, especially, this is probably, I'm guessing this is everybody's first time, whoever wants to do this way. What you're gonna do is, it's already curled, but you're gonna make the curl longer and then you're gonna tighten it. But one end, it's like a cone, right? So one end has to be pointy and one is a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna curve it like this and pull it so that it's starting to do this. Now I can hold it like this, right? And I can pull it out like this. I'm pulling it this way so that it gets longer. But still, it's just the same all the way across. It's the same evenness all the way across. So I have to take this end, or one end, and tighten up that end. Now it's super tricky because you have to kind of go wherever it wants to go. So you're gonna tighten up one end really, really tight. Now this is where it's getting hard. You could probably glue it or tape it. Gluing it will hold it stronger probably if you, but you have to hold it for a while and let it dry. So you can glue it like this. I'm just gonna stick some glue down in there and I'm gonna get my hands dirty. So you have to be ready to get your hands dirty if you wanna just do it this way. Now I'm just gonna kind of rub it in there. Now it's slippery, so I'm gonna wait till it dries a little bit so it's sticky enough for me to hold it, because now it's slipping out of my hands. So I'm tightening it up this end like this. I'm just twisting it so that it's tight. All right? So this is the pointy end of the tusk. Okay, so I twisted it up. Okay, I'm gonna let it sit there for a minute so that it stays tight. Now, the hard part about this is that this is going to be, it might be a nice strong tusk and it's going to be pointy, but it's not going to be curved. Their tusks are a little bit curved, but it's going to be really tricky to curve this because it's going to be really strong. So if you guys can figure out another way to do that, then that's great. One way you could do it, which is also very tricky, is you could get a hanger. And you can just make the hanger, cut off the right length and make the hanger, and make sure if you cut off the right length, it has to have another end that you're gonna stick to just like a tab, make a tab on your hanger, so a part that you can tape onto your head, but that's also it's gonna be very tricky, but if you wanna try it that way, you can do that. You can make it the right curve, and then you just wrap it up just like I did with the newspaper, but you have to keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping until you get that cone-like shape. But this way, you could just do shorter tusks and have them be straight, and they won't look. If they're going to be straight, they'll look a little bit better if they're short than if they're long. Okay. All right. So if this is holding. Okay. So now that this is tight right here, I just have to let this part go wherever it wants to go because it wants to now be grow a little bit thicker. Okay. So I do that. On this end, I might just tape it up. You guys will probably need some hands for this. Some extra hands. All right. Now see how it's like a little point? Then you have to figure out how to make tabs. So this part's kind of too much on the end. So I'm gonna cut that down a little bit. I'm going to make my tabs. so that I can stick it onto the face. Okay, look, watch, I'm gonna show you an example. Look, that wasn't enough tape. I might even have to use duct tape on this part because look, it wants to go away because it has those tabs. Those tabs are like this, but they're also not meant to be that way. They're meant to be straight, so they're probably pushing back to go back to straight, okay? So you'll have to figure out, I might just grab some duct tape it down. And then your tusks, they go just a little bit behind the trunk, right behind it a little bit. So I would take this, see that? So yeah, like they said, they're gonna be straight, so they're not gonna look just like elephant tusk. You can try to bend it, and this one will bend. The only thing is it flattens, it makes it kind of a weird shape. But then again, you know what? Actually, you guys can totally do this. You can bend it to be like a tusk shape, and then you can wrap it with newspaper, actually, just like we did with the trunk. So that way, I'll tape it on like this. I don't know if they go in or out sometimes. Tape it on like this, and then you can build it up with newspaper, or you can build it up before if you want to. You can start, it might even be easier to start building it up before, meaning getting the shape right before. Because if I tape this on like this, and just start building it up, that way when I actually put it on the elephant, then it's ready to go. I don't have to keep, and you don't have to get in this tight little space because it's going to be right next to this. So for this one, it might be good to build it up, have this one built up while it's on the elephant, and then build this one up before you even put it on so you don't have to compete with this. Same thing here. I'm going to tape it on, tape on these tabs. And then when you're done with all of it, you have to paper mache this like crazy. Okay, anything that you just did new has to be paper mached. On this one, anywhere that there's newspaper, I'd paper mache it. The end of this is okay because it's already strong. The end of this might be okay, but it also might be a good idea to paper mache this. But for sure, paper mache everything that you just did with newspaper and with tape. And what you really need to paper mache the very, very most is where it's attached to this. Okay, you have to have paper mache strips. So I would get on this part, I would do paper mache strips this way to make sure that there's a lot of paper on here that's attached to the paper on here. Doing it this way just makes it so that you're attaching this much of it. If I do it this way, I'm attaching this much of it. Okay, so I'm going to do strips here all the way around like this. Okay, so that's the biggest part. Now look at this. Got to go tape that down better and then paper mache it. But paper mache everything where it's attached a lot, okay, and then let it dry.